Um, uh, Passport Paulie live. Hey everybody, we're just starting this live. Let me know if you got any questions. And do you guys have any questions? Top chat. All right, everything's set up. Why do I always look tired? I don't know, man. It's midnight right now. That's why I'm looking tired. It's because it's midnight. But um, I wanna. One of the reasons why I kind of want to move to Asia is so that I can start doing these at like 6 a.m. That would be like a time that I much prefer. Um, so Lindsay Clancy case, I haven't really followed it that much, but like what I find really like what I find really disturbing is like the amount of women in America that have like taken her side. And I know like women and people in general, but women specifically always have this cope of it's just like I'm not taking the side of like a murderer. I'm just saying I don't think she murdered anybody. And it's like that is like taking her side. You know what I mean? Like you always just kind of like lie in order to, you know, defend the position that you want to defend, right? So um yeah, I mean it's just like so dark that like in America today you have all of these women who are defending a woman that literally just like murdered her children. And I think it's just like, you know, goes to show just like how you shouldn't be dating women in America. You should go abroad and you should, you know, date women in other countries. Cause like literally, you know, like the women in America are literally cheering on child murderers. Like, what are we doing here, guys? You know what I mean? But anyway, how much fun box are you smashing this year, bro? I'm married now, so I just have like one box that I'm smashing, but it's going great. Like I think you know being married is phenomenal. You know, there are all these people who like to fetishize this idea of like you know oh sleeping around with all these different women. Like once you turn, especially once you're in your 30s, man, you don't want to be like hitting up girls. You know what I mean? Like I like I I like getting my pussy delivered to me, you know what I mean? Like, I like the pussy at home more than, like, going out and having to get it. So, yeah, it's much better. What's my opinion on living in Spain? I spent a month in Madrid. I wasn't the biggest fan of Madrid, but me and my wife are about to go to Tarragona for about a month. That's like right next to Barcelona. Like what one thing that I think is like surprising about Europe is that Europe is actually cheaper than Latin America, in my opinion. And when it comes to value per dollar, Europe is actually much cheaper and much more value per dollar than Latin America, and I think it's, like, not even really close. Um, you go to France, for instance oh, someone asked me what I do. Now I'm a professional influencer now. Literally this is what I do for a living, but, th this is something that people don't realize is that, like, if you go to France, right, you can have a really good dinner with you and somebody else for $30, $40, and it is like a top tier dinner for 30, $40 in France, right? Versus in like, if you go to Brazil now, you're spending at least $30 on dinner no matter where you go, you know, unless you're going to like, you know, Fortaleza or something. Like if you're going, especially if you're in Rio de Janeiro, but even not just Rio, like Floripa or Curitiba, all these cities. Me and my wife were in Brasilia most recently, and we were spending and we were sharing dinner, and we were spending like $30 a dinner, right? So like I'd much rather have a $30 dinner in Paris than in Brasilia, Brazil. I mean, so um anyway, stop lying, dude. What am I lying about? Hey, Paulie, is Asuncion a fun place to visit beyond dating? What was the experience like? So for me, like the reason why Asuncion is such a great place to date and also such a great place to live is because it is a terrible place to go visit. The way that I describe it is Asuncion is the best place to live and the worst place to visit in Latin America. But nowadays, Asuncion is actually getting so expensive now that like it's not even a great place to live anymore. I'm gonna be honest. There are a bunch of other places that I would recommend in Latin America nowadays, way over Asuncion. And the reason is a couple. First of all, because of influencers like me, Asuncion is just completely blown up. So people all over the world now are asked about Asuncion. When I made a video last year. It's like my first video to go viral. It was about like Asuncion, right? And like every comment was like, "What's Asuncion?" Right? No one knew what Asuncion was. Nowadays, everybody does, and so because of that, it's just not. You just don't get the value from it anymore. Compatible for the team. We're gonna find a traditional wife that's not Latin America. Um, I don't know what you mean. Like you're looking for a traditional wife outside of America that's not Latin America. Go to Asia. Yo, what's up, Mike No Go Zones? Tips for Thailand. I don't know, man. Um, what if I want to go to Finland? I don't know. Go to Finland. Sao Paulo, Brazil is not cheaper than Manila, Philippines. That's not even like you know. I thought Latin America would be way cheaper than Europe. Nah, dude. The one thing though is that like Airbnb prices in Europe are way more expensive, but everything else is, um, what do you think about Sao Paulo? I'm going next month for 3 to 6 months. I honestly like wouldn't go to like Sao Paulo at all. Like I think Sao Paulo is a complete waste of time to go to. And the reason is because it's like we have Sao Paulo at home and it's called New York City. And like I've had tons of people in Brazil, like, try to convince me to go to Sao Paulo, and every argument for Sao Paulo is just like, okay, this just sounds like a shitty version. This sounds like a shitty Brazilian version of New York City. And like nobody's been able to give me like a good argument that does not fall into that. So, I mean, I grew up outside of New York, so it's just like, why would I go to Sao Paulo? If I'm going to Brazil, I'm going to like Brazil, not just a version of New York. Um, what's the best passport bro city inside America? Like if you're going so like if you go to like a rural town in America, then yeah, you definitely want to go to places like OKC, Wichita. I'm guessing like I mean I don't really know. I mean I've been outside of America for 3 years now, but I'm guessing a place like Des Moines, Iowa would probably be really good. Um, no, Ciudad de Este does not have a Wild West vibe. Ciudad de Este sucks, man. Me and my wife bought into this like Ciudad de Este hype. Like everyone was hyping us up about Ciudad de Este, and we went. We spent a month and a half there, and it was dog shit. Um, what's the main thing I should work on other than confidence bank? What you should do is like it's not confidence. Like there's a bunch of specific skills that gringos need to work on that most gringos are really bad about, and it's just understanding the difference between Latinas and American girls. And the best way to do that is to get the Paulie system. And it's 11 hours of video of me talking about the difference between dating in Latin America and in the United States. Is not even like you know, um, it's not even like a um what's it called? It's not even like confidence or anything. It's just understand the cultural differences. What's my favorite Brazilian city to live in? Yo, what's up, travel lover? Not including anything about women. So my favorite Brazilian city to live in, I actually keep confidential because I don't want gringos to go there. But um, The second best city I can give you, um, I don't know, man. After my favorite city, which I'm not giving people. How about this? If three people buy the Paulie system, I will give you the best city in Brazil. And this is not just the best city in Brazil. This is one of my favorite cities in the entire world. If I had my druthers, I would move here tomorrow. But my wife hates Brazil, so we're not moving there. But this is my favorite city in the world. Three people buy the Poly system, link in bio. I'll tell you guys. But my second favorite city is honestly like across the bay from Rio de Janeiro. It's called Niterói. It's like a little like suburb kind of Rio de Janeiro, and that's kind of my favorite non, you know, that's my favorite Brazilian city. I don't know, bro. Where should Latino passport bros go to find a wife? Just like wherever you want. Like, what type of women are you into? Is really the most important question. Do you think certain cities prefer big boys? Not really, but like I found that Venezuelan women like big boys. Okay. Honestly, man, here's the thing. If I ask you a question, anyway, um. Okay, so like people have a bunch of like one-on-one common conversations. Like if you want me to help you figure out where you specifically should go, then I'm happy to do a one-on-one consultation with you, but like I'm not going to like there are other people on this live that I'm not going to derail the whole conversation to go into like what one specific person should go to. Should I skip Manila and stick with Cebu and surrounding islands in the Philippines? I don't think so. I actually so I like I don't really like all so but if you're interested in the consultation, fill out the form in my bio. But like um if you're going to Manila, I'd much rather go to Manila than go to Cebu. I guess is the long and short of it. Oh, nice! Somebody just bought the Poly system. Yo, Vladimir Shumsky. I shouldn't have said your name. My bad. Yo, Vladimir. How about this? If we don't get to the three sales, then whoever bought the Poly system, send me a DM and I'll tell you what that city is, and we'll hop on a free 15-minute call. The Poly system is basically an 11-hour program that I made that tells you pretty much every single thing I know about dating in Latin America. So there's like 6 hours on where to go. There's like 5 hours, which is the actual Poly system on like how to get more matches in Latin America. Oh, dude, we got our first super chat. Yo, I just got monetized on YouTube like 2 days ago. If you look at specific small sections of cities, which have the best looking women on the planet? Um, do you mind like which cities? So what you're asking is like if we look at the hottest women in each city, which one has the hottest women? Is that what you're asking? Um, if you're looking for Russians in South America, then go to southern Brazil. Um, Yeah, so someone asked, like, do you think America as a whole is too far gone in terms of ease of dating a large amount of connections? 100%. I mean, but my entire channel is about telling people to like leave the United States and go date abroad. By the way, big ruckus. Like, I'm just waiting for your clarification. But the second you send it to me, you're number one in terms of priority for answering questions. But um, yeah. So what a lot of people don't really understand about like southern Brazil and what a lot of people don't realize about southern Brazil and what's it called Argentina is that basically 100 years ago, like Eastern Europe split in half, right? and half of Eastern Europe and Central Europe went to Argentina and Brazil, right? So, they what's it called? So like if you're looking for Eastern European women, like they are all in southern Brazil. You know what I mean? Do you think your countries have better looking women in Eastern Europe? Which countries do you think have better looking? Which countries are you asking me about? What can I hire you for specifically? I mean, so people typically hire me for either like there are two main things that I kind of think that I'm the best at in terms of like, me versus other passport bro creators. The first one is that I have this real bird's eye view. Like most people are real specialists about specific areas, right? So if you're going to like Rio de Janeiro, like there are a ton of influencers that can give you better information than I can, right? But like what I'm really good at is like I've been to so many places and I've spent a good deal of time in so many places that I really have that like 5,000-foot view to help you find the best place for you. And then on top of that, like I think I'm the only Passport Bro creator who's actually married. I think I'm one of the only red pill creators who's actually married, to be honest. And I'm putting myself in the red pill category. So if you're somebody who wants to actually settle down and get married, find the right women to get married, but then also like set up a relationship for long term success, then I think that I'm one of the best creators to talk to, if not the best creator to talk to. The guy who super chatted didn't follow up, but Big Ruckus, whenever you want to like ask the like answer my follow-up question, let me know and I'm gonna, answer. Thanks 500x investors. Paulie, do you think surrogacy and single fatherhood is the safest, most guaranteed way? No, the safest, most guaranteed way is to move abroad and become a passport bro. That is the safest, most guaranteed way. Find a traditional woman abroad that is not. Um, okay, just what specific neighborhoods have the best looking women globally in your experience? Could be any city in the world. I think the best women in the world right now are probably in um I think the women in Cordoba are like absolutely stunning. So I have a little bit of a heuristic that I use because I'm married, which is that like the more my wife smacks me in the head, the hotter the women are because she smacks my head because she's angry at me for staring at them. And my God, I almost got brain damage walking around Cordoba, Argentina. She was just hitting me in the head constantly. And then I realized that like my dog really needed to go on like hour-long walks every day. So I think Cordoba has like the best looking women. The problem with places like Rio de Janeiro and like Medellin is that like, yeah, it's a lot of really good looking women, but like, there's a price tag for most of those really hot women. But you go to a place like Cordoba, man, they are absolutely stunning and they're, just normal girls that just want to like talk to you. Are you living abroad? Yeah, dude. I'm I'm in Kosovo right now. Yo, I haven't seen you on this forever. Are you back or just popping up? I am back. So basically, the reason why I stopped doing lives is because the ROI just wasn't there for me. Like, I wasn't really making any money off of these. And, like, I'm not trying to be like a crazy capitalist, but like, this is a job for me, right? So, like, I need to see some sort of benefit from it. But I did a live last week and I got a ton of people buying the Paulie system. I got a ton of people setting up consultations. So, as long as people like, as long as I'm getting an ROI from this, I'm happy to keep on doing this like every day. You know what I mean? Where can I find a Latina Asian? You can find a Latina Asian in Lima, Peru is the best place. Um, what's your general strategy to find a woman in South America? Do you lead with your wallet or do you exploit her low self-esteem? I do none of those things. It's funny because like so many passport bros or so many wannabe passport bros have bought the like feminist propaganda that the only reason why these girls date you is because they want your money or they have low self-esteem. And so many guys will ask me about like how to date women in Latin America. Like, how do I lead with my wallet? I'm like, you don't lead with your wallet. That's not how you do it. What you do is you mention that you're an American in enough of a way that gets people interested, but doesn't have people dating you just because you're an American. And then you need to recalibrate your your texting and messaging strategy so that you get women much more emotionally aroused when they talk to you, which increases your conversions, decreases your flakes, and gets them to want to sleep with you. It's really that simple. And that's really what I talk about in the Paulie system, by the way. How does Cordoba compare to Moscow or Eastern Europe? I haven't been to Moscow specifically. I was just in Poland for 3 months. I think Cordoba has way hotter women than Poland, to be honest with you. And like, a lot of it is just like it's a lot of Polish girls there, but they're also mixed with like, Italian women, German women, So personally, I think Argentine women are a lot more attractive than Eastern European women, but I also just personally don't like Eastern European women because I'm Polish. Um, your shorts have hit the algo polo, trust me. Um, yeah. So I'm sorry about the picture quality. I'm working to solve that. Basically, actually, fuck. I need to turn my VPN off, but I'm afraid I'll get kicked out. Um, yeah, to be honest, that's like my big fear. Someone said like I've been to Moscow. Why even consider them during the war? Like I'm afraid I'll go there and they'll just like conscript me in the army. You know what I mean? Granted, I'm so fat that they won't want to do it, but Poland is basically Colombia of EU. I don't really know what that means. I don't really agree with that, but um, how do you get all this? How do you get all this knowledge on girls in different countries? This is literally like my livelihood at this point. Um, they send crippled men to their front lines. Yeah, you would go to the army. Yeah, dude, I just don't want to risk it. You know what I mean? Like, someone asked me to do a daily vlog. I was thinking about it. To be honest, people like here's the thing about content creation in general is that like you have to realize what people are watching you for. And like people aren't watching me for daily vlogs. You know what I mean? It's just not why people are watching me. So, you know, I'm giving people what they got. I want to give people what they are coming for. What do you think of Porto Alegre, Brazil? I think Porto Alegre is a good place, to be honest with you. Like, Brazil right now, the three cities that I would avoid are Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, and Florianopolis. So if you're looking for a so basically like if you're looking at like the southern like south of Brazil, like the three main cities south of Sao Paulo are Curitiba, Floripa, and Porto Alegre, right? Um, Curitiba is basically where you have a bunch of like German and Polish descended women, and Porto Alegre is where you have more of the Italian and Portuguese descended women. Now, obviously, like it's been 100 years, so like there's been mixtures, right? But like that's just basically just how you can kind of think about it. Just wanted to donate more. All the content I've watched from you, man. We need Paulie to balance the road right now. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Man, not be political, but I like white girls and mass migration has me depressed. At least Argentina, Eastern Europe is reasonably white. Bro, so like I'm more political on my Twitter. I try not to talk about politics at all on my Instagram or my TikTok just because I know that's not what people are coming to me for. I don't want to alienate people. And whenever I do talk about politics, it's always just like this shit's fucked. So like move abroad, right? So I was trying to like make that like connection. That being said, like what was I gonna say? Uh a lot of people think that Eastern Europe doesn't have migration, and I'm here to tell you it has a huge amount of migration. Like Poland right now is just swarming with Indians. And I hear that about the rest of Eastern Europe too. So like people like there's this propaganda that's pushed out and like you can always this is the last thing I'm gonna say about it because again I don't want to go into like a whole immigration thing, but there's always this two step that a lot of like the right wing parties do in Europe where they're like we don't allow any illegal immigration, and it's like okay, but you're also you know allowing in everybody to immigrate legally. So like how is that what does that even mean at this point, right? Um, I don't know what it means. It's cheaper than my friends import stuff and sell it here. Look at Italy. Um, so this is a good question. I'm like, is being a passport bro expensive? I get this a lot when I talk about people in my like when I talk to people in my consultations, where a lot of people will be like, I need to save up money, And I understand like wanting to save up money just so you have a buffer. By the way, people in the Facebook, the people on the YouTube now have been just donating like shit tons of money. If you guys on Facebook want to start giving some stars, I would very much appreciate it. People on TikTok, don't do that because TikTok takes like 90% of the money that you guys donate. So don't, if you're watching me on TikTok, do not donate any money. It's not coming to me at all. But if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, I'd really appreciate whatever the stars are, whatever. But anyway, sorry. Um, People all will often think that you need to save up a lot of money to become a passport bro. When in reality, like, yeah, you want to have a buffer just because you don't want to be in a foreign country without any money. But like, it's way, way cheaper to live abroad than it is to live in the United States. So honestly, like, I think that once you're able to make like four to $5,000 a month remotely, regularly, you should move abroad because not only are you going to get laid a lot more, obviously, but like it's also going to be cheaper. You know what I mean? So, like, it's kind of a double whammy. I remember so, like, when I was living in San Francisco, I was living in San Francisco for 4 years. I was making good money, like, I was making well into the 6 figures, and I still was living with a roommate. My roommate was making 400K, and we were still living with each other because just 'cause it was more economical. And so when I started traveling, I realized this is the first time in my life I've ever not had a roommate. Right? Because like when I was a kid, like I mean, I didn't have a roommate, but like I was living with my family, right? And ever since I graduated, I always had roommates or something. So literally, it wasn't until I was 33 years old that I actually was able to live by myself, and it's so nice to be able to live by yourself for a while. So, you know, um, Paul, I'm from Eastern Europe, and there's news was marrying a Latino with a child is crazy. I don't know what that means. How much is it, Paulie, to have a consultation with you? My consultations, so the consultations are 3 calls, an hour, a half an hour, and a half an hour. The way that I typically structure is the first call is just us just kind of like brainstorming and like talking about your needs, what you're interested in, where you want to go, what's important to you, what your objectives are. And then I kind of like talk you through all of the best cities to go to, right? Um, then we have a follow-up where, like, we meet one-on-one, and you typically chew on everything, and then you come back with some questions, and there we start to, like, really solidify your plans, and then the 3rd meeting is, like, the extra half an hour where, like, right before you go or, like, right before you book, I, like, basically help you firm everything up. So those 3 calls together are $300. And then the Poly system is, $200. What's it? That's 11 hours worth of video. Um, Thoughts on Cebu? So I went to Cebu when I was married, so like I didn't actually like do any of the Cebu stuff, but I don't know. I don't like the Philippines. The Philippines is not really my jam. There are a lot of people who love, you know, um, there are a lot of people who love the Philippines. It's just not. It's just too run down for me. Um, do you think it's better to book with you rather than just ask ChatGPT? I mean, if you want to ask ChatGPT, go ahead. The problem with asking ChatGPT is, first of all, a lot of the information on ChatGPT is incredibly outdated. I know because, like, when I make videos, like, I consult with ChatGPT, right? Like, I do research, and ChatGPT helps me with my research on my videos, and I can tell you how much information ChatGPT gets wrong because I'll literally, I'll ask it like, give me this, right? And it'll spit back an answer. I'll be like, that's not accurate. And then like I'll figure out how ChatGPT got the wrong information, right? So like that's the problem with ChatGPT is that ChatGPT has a lot of information, but it doesn't have a lot of wisdom and it doesn't have a lot of like judgment that comes from actually going to these places, right? So that you will go and ask ChatGPT a lot of stuff, and then ChatGPT will like give you the wrong answers, and then you'll go out and like the reason why like my consultations, and I don't want this just to be like a selling session, so I'm just gonna say this last point. I'm gonna go back to answering questions, but like the reason why I have this price point so high is because like I don't want to talk to people who just want to like, who aren't actually going to travel, right? That's not worth my time. Like, go watch the videos, have fun, whatever, right? But like the people who actually want to travel, like if you're spending $600 on a ticket, if you're spending $1,000 to stay somewhere for a month in order to meet women, Like at that point, like yeah, $300 to make sure that you're going to the right places is going to be saving you a huge amount of money, right? So that's why it's priced that way, right? It's like for the people who actually get value from it are going to be getting a huge amount of value. The people who aren't are not, right? But just like one more last point upon that, and I promise I'm going to move on. Like, um, I mentioned in the second call, like a lot of times, like like people will go do the research and will come back. Like I can't tell you how many times people have taken the cities that I've given them, and then they will go do the research and they'll come back to me, and all of the research that they have done is just completely wrong. And it's just like one or two ways that they asked ChatGPT the question incorrectly. They got them all this bad information, right? And because they've never been to those cities, they don't know, but me, I've been there, I know, and so I'm like, that's actually not the way it is. Um, I'm not showing my girlfriend, I'm not showing my wife. If you don't want to book with me, then like that's fine. I have tons. I had how many? I had 5 consultations yesterday. So if you want to book with me, don't worry about it, bro. So Juve said, or Hoove said, I enjoy your vids, but I'd like it if you had more detail and explanation behind your thoughts on uploaded content. So I appreciate that as like a piece of feedback. The reason why I don't is because like the way the algorithms are structured is that they really reward like short videos over longer videos with explanations. That being said, what I think I'm going to start doing a lot more is like making the 8-second video that doesn't have a lot of context and then putting in a longer description in the description, right? That gives you a lot more of that context. So that's one thing I'm thinking about moving towards, just because it's going to help also with like watch time, but then also it's going to be able to like balance those considerations. What do you do when you land? Bro, like if you have your Tinder game correct, like, you should have a date lined up by the time you're at your apartment. I've literally had multiple situations where I've literally had girls meet me at the airport. You know what I mean? So, one of them, I literally landed at a city, and then, like, I had a girl literally just come and meet me at the airport bar, and, like, we went home and, like, did the deed. I feel like it will pay you or paying for your life experiences to your vision. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is, man. Um, I hate Tinder. You hate Tinder because you're using it in America. Like once you start using it in Latin America and you get a lot more, success with it, you're gonna like Tinder a whole lot more. Um, no, 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 no. I mean, you land and like you go through baggage check, you go through all this type of stuff, you go through customs, and like while you're doing that, you start swiping. You know, I mean, I don't know what dating's like in Israel, but this is for everything from dating to marriage. If you're looking to just sleep with a ton of women, I can help you do that because I did that. If you're looking, if you're looking to, get married, as I said, I think I'm one of the few people who's actually married who can actually help you do that. Meeting at the airport can go south rapidly. Yeah, but I mean, if you're sleeping around, a whole bunch of situations can go south rapidly. Like, I don't know. This probably isn't advice I should give, but like my opinion is that like if you're going abroad to have a crazy fun experience, like go have a crazy fun experience. Don't be a pussy about it. You know what I mean? And am I wrong to say that? Like, if you're going to just like, sleep with as many women as possible, like you should realize that like you are putting yourself in danger a little bit, right? But like the danger is part of the fun. Um, which country is the best for for a single guy? Um, when when it comes to like being single, I mean like it really comes down to like what your preferences are. You know what I mean? So like the best way that I can answer that question is if we book like a one-on-one meeting. Tinder's not so great in Colombia anymore either. I mean, Colombia as a whole is cooked. I've decided I've made the judgment call. Colombia's cooked, put a fork in it, it's done. You know, you're not like don't go to Colombia anymore is like my, feedback on that, right? So they shadow ban my Tinder. What does shadow ban mean? Like how do they shadow ban a Tinder? What about Brazil? There are a lot of good spots in Brazil. Like one of my big issues with Brazil is I think that so many people just fetishize Brazil so much. I think that women in Brazil get really gassed up because of it. Like all of social media is about like how amazing, you know, like how amazing Brazil is, and I think Brazilian women kind of get a big head because of it. Even rural areas in Colombia cooked. Yeah, rural areas in Colombia are cooked too. Um, What countries that you like have the least feminist bias in courts, like for false allegations or self-defense cases? Sleeping around brings danger. Yeah, so I mean, I'll answer that in two ways. First of all, like Asia has a lot better laws than South America. South America has had a lot of like really left-leaning governments. I mean, the best place is like Morocco, obviously, or like Middle East. That being said, like one of my general things is like there's a whole story behind this, but basically like my wife's family got like robbed by like a business partner in Brazil, right? And the courts didn't do anything and they were completely in the right. And it's like, yeah, because you're a Venezuelan in Brazil. You know what I mean? And like the cops aren't gonna do anything because there's a Brazilian, it's like it's your word versus the locals. You know what I mean? So like what I would say is just like all of this, like I've had situations where like a woman tried to stab me like, I've had people try to come kill me before. Like I've had some crazy situations. And the best rule of thumb, dude, is just don't go to the cops. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna end up like the law is not at your disposal in these countries, right? The law in these countries is meant to protect the citizens of those countries. And you are not one of them, right? I mean, think of it, right? Like imagine you actually go to court, right? Imagine you go to court and there's a trial of like a domestic abuse case between you and like a Colombian woman in Colombia, right? And it's like a civil trial, right? And you have 12 Colombians on the jury. Like whatever facts you present, even if you're 100% in the right, there's no way 12 Colombians are siding with a gringo who doesn't even speak English over a Colombiana. That's just not happening. It's never happening, right? So when you're in these countries, you need to have that mindset of like I'm not talking to the police, I'm not talking to anything. I'm keeping my head down, whatever, right? Um, Meeting at the airport and they try to look you down, not afraid. I don't know what that means. Which is the safest country in South America to stay in long-term passport, bro? Is Argentina by far. Argentina is the safest country in South America right now. Um, keep trying to sending money. I appreciate that, dude. I mean, I would appreciate it more if it went through, but I appreciate that you're trying to send it regardless. Um, so just so people know, like I don't gatekeep countries because you know, like, I don't really the whoever told me to gatekeep the country, like, I don't know you, so, like, why would I prefer you going there over somebody else? You know what I mean? Like, I like, for me, it's like, I'm trying to buy your fake wife, okay? So I don't wanna go into this, but, like, I anyway, keep on talking, bro, and I'm blocking you. How about that? Um, have you been to a since I'm trying to buy you a wife. I'm already married, bro. I'm happily married. Have you been to Asuncion, Paraguay? I'm trying to do you a favor. Okay. Thanks, man. Have you been to Asuncion, Paraguay? Yeah, I spent total probably 9 months in Asuncion, which is funny because like when I started traveling around the world, it was like I would have never thought I would have spent any time in in Asuncion, but yeah, Asuncion is like maybe 8 months. You know, um, was the best country in South America to be in a traditional wife? I mean, the best country, here's one thing. Here's one general good rule of thumb is that like if you're into indigenous looking girls are the most traditional by far. So that's just like a little like if you're into them, that's who you can date. Um, but if you're not into them, you want to date a Venezuelan woman. Is there a country you wouldn't go back to? Yeah, man. Laos is one. I probably wouldn't go back to India just because I really didn't like India. Although the food in India is really good, and I'm a fat ass, so you know, who knows? I might decide to go back to India, but as of now, no. Um. Anyway, let's see. Does does Asuncion compare to Santa Cruz, Bolivia? I mean, right now it seems like Santa Cruz is turning into the next Asuncion. Like that's kind of my read of things. Like Asuncion is getting cooked really quickly. I might like stick a fork in it soon. I need to come up with a segment about that. Just like the fork segment of something. You know what I mean? Like I think that'd be a good segment, right? Stick a fork in it. Does that mean if a woman starts swinging on you in South America, you never fight back for legal reasons? Yeah, if a girl starts swinging on you, bro, like never fight back. Just leave. I literally had a girl take a wine bottle, smash it on my counter because she refused to leave, and she said, if I leave, I'm gonna die, and we're gonna die together as lovers. And I called the security on her, and she was like, "Why'd you call security? A real man would have beat the shit out of me." And I'm like, "I'm not doing that. I'm sorry." And then she threw the wine bottle at my head, like the broken one, to try to like kill me, basically. Didn't do anything because if her and I would have ended up in a court and there are 12 Colombians on that jury, she could say whatever she wants. They're believing her. You know what I mean? Um, I love Albania. I just don't know what it's like getting girls in Albania. But me and my wife were just in Albania for 2.5 months, and we love Albania. Um, Mendoza is a good place. The problem with Mendoza, man, is that like it's just what's it called? Mendoza, I don't think is big enough to date. I know a few people who are married in Mendoza, and all of them found their wives in other cities. Does that make sense? Like I have a general rule of thumb, which is that like you want to go to a city with a population minimum like 500,000, because if the city is smaller than 500,000 by age 19, every girl is either married or left to the big city. Like every hot girl is either married or went to the big city. Okay. Anyway, the guy's just annoying, man. He here's the thing, right? Like if you guys don't believe that I'm married, that's fine. Just don't watch my content. You know what I mean? Uh anyway, no, I only went to Santa Cruz. So Danny asked, is it true that Latvia has more female to male ratio? So I don't know this for a fact, but here's my opinion on this. I have seen so many videos that are AI slop, probably made by Indians, right? That tell you that Latvia has the number one ratio of of females to male, right? And what I literally think happened is there was some Indian in New Delhi that was like, if I make a video about this, it will go viral. And they just Googled which city has the best ratio of women to men. And like whatever city was going to be, they were going to make a video about that city, right? So I've seen a ton of those videos with AI voiceovers, and a bunch of images of Latvia and a bunch of images of Latvian women telling you how Latvian women are like waiting for American men, right? The videos that I've not seen a single video along these lines is of a Latvian woman saying, "Hey, we don't have enough men here. We want Americans to come here and date us." Or another passport bro who has gone to Latvia and says, "Man, it is so easy picking up women. There's an insane female to male ratio, and it's like shooting, fish in a barrel," right? So I've never seen those two videos. I've never heard from a single person of all of my consultations, all of my conversations, never heard from a single person that Latvia has great dating, right? So maybe it does. Maybe it's just a really great kept secret, right? Maybe Vishnu in New Delhi knows more about picking up women in other countries than anybody else does. But if I don't hear anything from the women and I don't hear anything from other men about how good it is, and all I see is AI slop content, then I don't believe it, right? But I'm not saying I know. I'm not saying I know it's not true. It could be true, and if it is true, somebody go there and tell me I'm wrong. But as of now, all the data tells me that Latvia is not a good country. Question for Captain Ballsack: Am I Captain Ballsack? Venezuela is not safe to go. Is it even possible to get a wife in Latam if you're poor? Honest answer. I was broke when I met my wife. I was dead broke. This is a hot take, and like people aren't ready for this take. So like, you guys will realize that I'm right about this in like 2 years. The same way that I was talking about Morocco and Asuncion last year. My first viral video ever was me saying that Morocco and Asuncion were two of the best cities to go pick up girls. And the reason why I went viral is because there was 1,000 comments saying this guy's full of shit. 6 months later, everyone's talking about Morocco and Asuncion, and guess who was right? Anyway, the point of that is this is my take, which is that I actually think it's easier to find your wife, not sleeping with a bunch of women. It's easier to find your wife if you are fat and you're broke. Like that's my honest opinion, because first of all, no gold diggers are going to be attracted to you. And then the flimsy type crazy women, they're not going to be into you either because you're fat, right? So at my fattest and my brokest in my life, I found my wife, right? And by the way, like Venezuelan women have a huge thing for fat dudes. They've been kind of psyoped into believing correctly. It's a little insulting when how I say this. There's sometimes my wife says it where I'm flattered, and there's sometimes where I'm kind of insulted. But she's just like, look, all of her sisters married fat guys, fat Venezuelans, fat Colombians, whatever. And she's just like, fat guys don't cheat. It's like fair, I guess. Yo, bro, I hate my life. I'm a lawyer in the West. I'm thinking pack up and leaving. If you hate your life and you want to pack up and leave, you should pack up and leave. I packed up and left, and I'm way happier because of it. And if you're interested, fill out the form in the bio and schedule a consultation, and we can, I can help you figure out your escape plan. Where are you now? I'm in Kosovo right now. Yeah, dude, get rid of that six pack. Eat some Twinkies. So somebody asked like, how does short consultation work? Where it's like, I'm planning on going to the Philippines, like I want to make the best out of it. Like if you already know where you want to go, do not sign up for a consultation with me. It will not be worth your money, right? There are probably like at least a dozen other creators online who are specialists in the Philippines who can give you way better information about the Philippines than I ever could. Right? I've only spent a month there, right? So like I know the Philippines pretty well, but I don't really know it, right? So like my specialty is two things, right? One, helping you find a wife, right? Or two, I've been to so many places in the world now, and I've spent like months there that I have a really good grasp on all of these locations, but I also have a really good grasp on locations I've never been to. Because I like one thing that I do when I go to places, right, is I create a mental model of what that place is going to be based on past expectations, right? And then I adjust that model based on like reality, and then I keep on fine tuning that to the point now where like I go to a country and like I'm never really surprised by any country I go to because like this is what I do for a living, right? I want to go to Russia. I'm just afraid that I'm gonna get like drafted. So, I don't live anywhere. We just you know move around. Best business to start is like a digital marketing agency. How can I make money from traveling, bro? It takes a long time. Do you think you can run away from yourself, or do you think you have the same problems everywhere? Um, like I don't know. So someone says like I'm trying to like. Do you think you can run away from your problems, or do you think you have the same problems everywhere? Like this is something that I get a lot of comments on, where people will be like, it doesn't matter where you live, it matters your state of mind, or some shit like that, right? And like my response to that's very simple, right? Like, okay, so you're telling me that like if you were living in a work camp in North Korea or you're living on a beach in Costa Rica, like it's all a state of mind. No, obviously not. Like we know that for a fact, right? And we know that for a fact because like there are measurable depression levels and like suicide levels between countries, right? So like we know this, right? And so, the idea of like, oh, just fix yourself and it's like, no, it's not true. You need to fix your external situations, and that's gonna make you a lot happier. So fix your external for my previous self-defense scenario, what countries do you think would be most favorable to a UK citizen who has a Mediterranean phenotype, a mixed white and South Asian, but with tan white skin? Probably, honestly, like, so I would definitely throw out Southeast Asia is definitely a no. But I would probably go to like a Middle Eastern country. You know, s- those are probably the best, or Brazil probably might be your best option. Um, what's the best place for trans? I don't know, man. Thailand. How did you learn Spanish? By sleeping with Latinas. I'm not even joking about that. You said you were broke when you met your wife, but there are levels to being broke. Trust me, I was on the bottom level, man. Um, I love China too, man. I I kind of want to go to China and like broadcast from there. Like my feeling about China, and I'm about to get like a little bit of a black pill going. So just if you don't want to hear the black pill stuff, just like tune out for like 45 seconds. But for me, like the amount of time that I spent in East Asia, the idea to me that America is like the world superpower is so fucking laughable. Like we still think we are, but like it's clear that China is the world superpower in my opinion. Like, like we talk about like, oh, we have freedom and stuff. It's like, well, you don't have the freedom to walk down the street in Los Angeles without stepping over a homeless guy. So, you know, I don't want to go on a whole rant about it, but the point is I really like China. Um, how can I learn Spanish, bro? Dude, I just told you. Just like get Duolingo and sleep with Latinas. That's that's the way you do it. Um, what country is the most delicious natural foods? That's a great question. So I think Brazil and Bali have the best mangoes on planet Earth, in my opinion. A lot of it's based upon like what natural foods you like. So if you like mangoes, you should be in Brazil. Um, Argentina doesn't really have a lot of like good fruit. Peru and Colombia have this one fruit. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called like a guarani or something. And it's basically like passion fruit, but just like a smaller, sweeter version. And that's really good. Colombia has really good fresh fruit. My theory on why Colombian cuisine sucks so much is because their natural foods are so delicious that they never really had to learn how to, cook, basically. Um, so Costa Rica, your thoughts? By the way, someone asked me like, what are the five worst European countries? Here's the thing, guy. Like I have to say this in every live, but I guess I'll just say it again. Right? Is that like if you ask the same question 100 times, the reason why I'm not answering the question is because I don't think that the answer to your question is gonna be interesting. Right? So the overall ecosystem that we're in here on this live is like I'm doing this live so that because I need to get paid, right? Is so that I want to get as many people watching as possible so that people who are interested in paying for a consultation will come on here, be like, oh wow, Paul really knows his stuff. Maybe I should talk to him one-on-one, right? And that's how I make money, right? What you guys get as the audience is entertaining content, right? So like I tell you stuff about travel that is A, entertaining, and B, informative, and C, widely applicable, right? So if you guys ask me a question that I don't think is informative, entertaining, and widely applicable, I'm not answering that question because I'm trying to give you guys a lot of stuff so you want to watch so that YouTube and TikTok and Facebook push out my content because more people are watching so that I can get more people who want to pay for consultations, right? So if you ask me a question and I ignore it like 7 times, it's because it's not the type of question that I think is really interesting for the audience. Okay. So if you do have one-on-one questions, if you want me to help you plan a trip, if you want me to help you figure some stuff out about how to date Latinas, whatever, I'm happy to do that. Just fill out the one-on-one consultation and we'll have a one-on-one conversation. Does that make sense? Anyway, Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. Costa Rica is one of my favorite countries that I've ever been to, and I really want to go live there. Me and my wife are actually considering getting residency in Panama. And the pitch for Panama with the guy who was trying to convince me to go to Panama, basically the end of the pitch was Panama's basically Costa Rica. And I was like, oh fuck, you're right. It's right next to each other. Okay, we're going to Panama. So I love Costa Rica. But the only problem with Costa Rica is that Costa Rica is basically like Disneyland for Americans, right? And so because of that, Costa Rica is very expensive relative to other countries in South America. So anyway, sorry. Yeah. What's up, man? Going to Paraguay in a few weeks. Why do you say it's cooked? Because just way too many Americans are going there. So someone says I disagree about being out of shape. There's a big gym culture. I'm like all I'm saying is that like I think that sometimes negative attributes can be positive in certain situations. Like if like you know anyway. Um, hey dude, on a live, but we'll chat tomorrow. Cool. Somebody just paid for another consultation. That's awesome. I need your advice as a European student. I'm going to Mexico, Cancun. How is it there? I'm not answering that question. Paul, what countries can give the best deconomical conversion? I don't know what that means. Um, one thing I was kind of funny is people are like, "Oh man, I need your help. Give me some advice. I'm going to Cancun," and it's like Cancun is like the easiest place to go. You know what I mean? It's just like Cancun is America. You need to realize this. Cancun, Tulum, Costa Rica, these places are America. Is Olise better than Yamal? I think Yamal like I think Yamal is gonna get Mbappe syndrome. I was a big bear on Mbappe for years now, and I think that everyone else is trying to catch up. And the problem with Mbappe is that he's just too much into being a star and is not at the gym enough. And that was kind of borne out for the past like 5 years. And I think that Yamal is going to be getting the same type of problem. And I think that Yamal is going to be, out of Barcelona in the next 3 or 4 years. Um, what are your thoughts on Lima? I love Lima. Indian food versus Italian food. Um, oh, so someone asked for a good date spot recommendation in Asuncion. There's this area called like Quadrille or Quadrate or something like that. That it just basically this like huge you know um like square with restaurants. Just go there. Anyway, I'm an 18-year-old count. Which are the best countries in Latam? I don't know, man. If you want me to find you the best place, talk to me. One on one. Indian food versus Italian food. I mean, I love Italian food. Italian food for me is goaded. For me, my two favorite foods are sushi and Italian. That being said, I think India is one of the best food countries I've ever been to, and the thing that really makes India special is that you can't get really good Indian food outside of India, in my opinion. Like you really can't. Because any country that you get Indian food in, the Indian food is made for like a Western palate versus or is either made for a Western palate or is made like way too authentic, where they're trying to make a point about it, right? Um, Whereas in India, it's like more chill and more normal. And so I like 100% recommend that. Um, yeah, so to be honest, so someone says I filled out your doc, you never got back to me. First of all, I text like 80% of the people. So you probably but people only respond to like 50% of the texts I send. So I probably texted you and just never got it. Also, like a lot of people will text me about like remote work and stuff, and that's just not my specialty. So I just don't respond to those because I just don't want to have that awkward. I just don't want to have that conversation, man. Like I'm not the remote job guy. And people should know that when you're reaching out to me because I literally have I have no content about remote jobs. So, um best food in which country? Um so the best food in Latin America is is in Peru. And like you ask any Latino and they will agree with you about that Peru is the best food country in Latin America. Americans think that Mexico is the best food country, but Mexico is kind of like the McDonald's type food of Latin America, while Peru has you know, the best actual cuisine in Latin America. Um, Someone asked me, do you think? Oh, I have a kid here. It's the only reason why I'm here in America instead of Lima, Peru. Yeah, man, I love Lima. Um, what are your thoughts on pickup artists? I think so. I'll say this right. I talked to some people who literally have no idea how to talk to women. And for those guys, I honestly tell them, I'm like, man, you should talk to a pickup artist and not me, because pickup artists give you a lot of tactical and strategic things to help you meet women, and I think that's very important. I have a friend who's a pickup artist, content creator, and I think his stuff is great. I think he gives a lot of good advice. That being said, you know, if I started putting out content on how to lose weight, you'd be like, look, Paul, your stuff might all be correct, but you look like you do, so I'm not going to trust you on how to lose weight. Sorry, right? And I'm saying this because that's a fair response, right? And so when the problem, I think a lot of times is guys will go to pickup artists if they're looking for a serious relationship, and a lot of the strategies that pickup artists give aren't conducive to find women for serious long-term relationships, in my opinion, right? And so my question is to them is are you married? And if you're married, I'll accept your opinion. But if you're not married, then one of two things happen, right? Either A, like you haven't been able to, get a relationship that the other woman, the person you're with really wants to do something long term. So you haven't been able to get that right woman, right? To get her to commit, or B, you haven't been able to get yourself to commit, which is usually their cop out, where like, I just don't want to get married. It's like, okay, well, if you don't want to get married, then you obviously have not your strategies have not been able to get you the type of woman that you want to get married to, right? Which I think kind of proves my point too, right? Anyway, um, what's my current setup? Me and my wife just move around constantly. That's my setup. We literally just, you know, like every month we go to a new country. Um, yo, thanks for the sandcastles. For us, thanks for the jewels. I don't know what that means, but um, is Madrid, Spain overrated? Yeah, I like. I don't. I've spent a month in Madrid, and I think it's fine. I just like there. I'll say this: there are a lot of countries in the world that I just think are kind of. I don't want to say superfluous, but like they are kind of superfluous, right? And it's like if you're going to Madrid, why not just go to Paris, right? Paris has everything that Madrid has, just better. So you know, that's my opinion on Madrid. Um, the cheapest, closest place for Latinas to the southern United States is Mexico. Where should a girl travel to meet a good man who loves to travel? If I was a girl passport, if I was a passport gal, I would be selecting for like every place that I'm saying is cooked is places that you should go, right? So you should go to Rio de Janeiro, you should go to Medellin, you should go to Buenos Aires. A place that I would really go if I was a single woman is I would go to Patagonia. Like I would post up in Bariloche for like a month and like see who you can find, right? I think Bariloche is a really good place. I would also go to like Da Nang, Vietnam, because a lot of passport bros are going to Da Nang, Vietnam because everyone's talking up Da Nang. But I don't think what I've heard is that the dating culture in Da Nang is not what people are saying it is. And so a lot of single guys are going to Da Nang because they're expecting the roads to be paved with pussy, and it's just not. Is everything's what I've heard. Again, I've only gone to Da Nang when I'm married, so I don't know. But that's what I've heard. That's what I've been hearing. And so you want to basically find the guys who go to those more popular spots and just they aren't the types of places where you can actually meet women. I'm in Kosovo right now. Um, Paris is nice, man. Like Paris is like I'll say this. I went to Paris because my wife wanted to go to Paris. I had no intention of going to Paris, but I have American friends in Ho Chi Minh and Da Nang. Both love the women there. Okay, then that's some counter information. You know, um, I always appreciate when people give me like different perspectives because who knows, right? Everyone has different perspectives, right? But like the like person on YouTube just said that he has friends who are getting success, so it's not 100% bad, I guess. But yeah, Paris is great. Like there's so much lies about Paris on social media. I'm about to spend a month there, so I think Paris is a great city. Now Rome is a shithole. Rome is one of the worst cities I've been to in my life, and if the Vatican was not there, I would never go back. But the Vatican's there, so me and my wife are thinking about going in January. We're gonna be living in Napoli. Um, Rome is filled with doctors and engineers. What does it mean I'm a crop duster? Why is your hair and beard like that? Is it because you're a big fan of Wolverine? It's because I'm married, bro. I don't give a shit. I'm married to a girl that just is fucking obsessed with me. So like, why do I need to fucking cut this shit? You know what I mean? Like I could spend half an hour a day grooming myself, like my hair and my beard, or I can spend 0 hours a day doing it. I would get the exact same amount of pussy. It would be the exact same number. So, why would I do it? I mean, if my wife wants me to, I'll do it. I'm just saying she's never, like, told me to do it. Paris, I just don't think it is. Dude, I was in Paris last year. Paris was great. I don't get it. Why are you ignoring me? I'm a longtime subscriber. First of all, I find it so first of all, like, longtime subscriber, you mean, like, long time following my information for free? But anyway, you said, "Why are you saying go to Paris? Don't go to Paris, bro. Paris is trash." Paris is a great I responded to that. Paris is a good place to go. I'm Dutch, 17 years old, I need help. So the reason why I was ignoring your questions about going to Cancun is what I talked about before. Like, me talking about how I'm ignoring questions that aren't widely applicable to people, I was literally talking to you, I just didn't wanna be rude about it. Is like, your experience in Cancun is not relevant to the other 80 people on this live, so I'm not gonna spend time talking about it. Anyway, um I don't, to be honest. Paris does not have that many migrant. It really does not. Like, we spent like a week in Paris and it was like perfectly fine. Anyway, where else am I live on? I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on TikTok. Um, Long term, my lives are gonna be going to YouTube. YouTube is gonna be my number one platform, and I might do a YouTube, Facebook simulcast. My problem right now with YouTube is I just don't have enough volume of people watching on YouTube for me to have enough questions to, like, spend the time. So if people show up on YouTube regularly, and I get enough questions to answer and have a good time and give you guys what you want, I'm gonna stop TikTok because, as I said earlier, like, don't give me any gifts on TikTok because TikTok literally steals like 80% of the money. Uh, yeah. So a lot of people say that Paris is overrun and chaotic. I literally think they're just like farming to get like controversy and shit. Again, like I went to Rome and I found it like all the stuff that they were saying about Rome was 100% true. But, like, I went on, I went to Paris, I was expecting to be overrun with migrants, it wasn't. Like, I saw a few migrants near the Eiffel Tower. Those people, I'm not sure how the percentage is on YouTube, I'm gonna find out, this is my first time being monetized on YouTube. But I went to the Eiffel Tower, there was people selling tchotchkes, but they were all respectful, they were all quiet, they were just standing there with their shit. And I think that actually does serve a social benefit, so I have no problem with that, right? But, like, Rome, you have people accosting you, people screaming at you. You have, like, you try to eat some authentic Italian food and you can't because every restaurant is owned by, like, a Turkish person or an Indian person that doesn't give a shit, right? So Rome is actually what they say Paris is. We spent so we were there for, like, almost a week, and we spent all day Sunday, literally we arrived in Paris at 10 a.m. and we were like, "Okay, this is our day to really walk around." And we walked around from, like, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., like, the whole city, and we saw no issues whatsoever. Um, I don't show my wife, and I've answered the question a bunch of times, I just don't feel like answering it right now, but wait 10 minutes and someone else is gonna ask me, and then I probably will get, like, you know, I probably will answer. Does being tall unlock access to tier 1, 2 Latinas? No, actually, like, I think that if you're like a short king in America, being a passport bro is great. Like I'm 5'10", which is like normal, literally normal height in America. In Latin America, I feel like a giant. You know what I mean? I remember like when I went to Colombia for the first time. I remember like walking around. I was just like, wow, this must be what it's like being like 6'3". Um, Best wife place. The best wife place is based upon what you specifically are looking for, and so, like, that's why you need to get a consultation for that question. You know what I mean? So, are passport bros only for white people? Not at all. Actually, the passport bro movement started with black people, and, like, I think, like, 40% of my followers are black. Really overrepresentative numbers of my followers are black, and so, no, it's not for only white people at all. Um I'm 5'11", pale blue eyes and brown hair. You will not have issues in Latin America. Um, are you available? Uh, can we do 8 p.m.? If you're 6'6", they will not be scared. You'll be fine. 5'4" Latino living in Canada. I would recommend Asia, to be honest with you. Thoughts on Vietnam being the new Thailand? Yeah, I do. 8:30 works. So I do think that Vietnam is the new Thailand. Um, so anyway, so many people are asking like one-on-one questions, and I'm telling you guys, like I'm not answering your specific questions about your specific life. If you want those questions answered, sign up for a consultation. Pattaya is a shithole though. Isn't Pattaya just like 100% filled with Indians also now? Um, when are you coming to England? I'm never gonna come to England. England is on my list of countries not to go to. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to England. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. Like if you're looking like I don't know, like I just don't like. Look, I'm nothing against pay for play. Like I've as you can tell by my appearance, I've paid for it enough times in my life. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying that like a whole city dedicated to pay for play is just like like you can get pay for play in so many other places. Why go for me like part of it is like going to a place and just like being like, oh, there are a bunch of normal people here, and yeah, people are paying, but like that's just kind of the normal vibe, right? Like for example, like there's a place in Koh Samui where like if you go and it's just like a bunch of normal guys partying, and like yeah, they're paying for it, but like that's just it's just because they're on vacation and shit, right? Pattaya, you go and it's like people go there literally just to pay for it, and you have like gawking dudes like going there just to pay, and you're just like I don't know, like it just doesn't make you feel like good, in my opinion. But anyway, different strokes for different folks. Um, what do I think of the Campinas region in general? I think it's a good place. I'm just like I don't know, like a lot of people want to go to like a lot of those like really small towns, and I just don't think that that's like a really effective strategy, to be honest with you. Um, why not England? Because England's turned into a shithole. And like, look, English people are allowed to do whatever they want with their country, but I'm allowed to do what I want with myself. And if you decide to turn England into Pakistan, like, I don't want to go to Pakistan, so why would I go to England? You know. Is there pay for play in Paraguay? Yes. So, guys, so you have to realize like social media channels have, content rules. And so I can't just go and be like, in this city it's 25 bucks. In this city, because like my account will get banned. You know what I mean? So I'm not doing that. And also I just don't think it's like, you can just do a Google search. USA is an S hole too. Yeah, well, that's why I'm not living in America. Um, so I kind of look at JD Vance. Yeah, I can see that. A lot of people tell me that I remind them of what's it called? Tim, who's like the fat Tim, like the like political commentator. Tim, political commentator. Um, Tim, stand-up comedian. Tim Dillon. A lot of people tell me that I remind them of Tim Dillon. Anyway, so someone asks me how many countries I've been to. Like, I'm not going to answer that question, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to answer that question. I think that um I think the idea of like how many countries you've been to is just such a silly thing, and it inspires something that I like to call Pokemon travelers. And these are people who will literally just be like, "I've been to 150 countries," and you're just like, "Yeah, but like you haven't really been to any countries." You know what I mean? Like there are people who like have been to like 120 countries and they have not been to any countries whatsoever. And I'll talk to these people and it'll be like, "Oh, so you went to Brazil?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, I went to Rio for like 4 days." And like if you've never traveled, go to Rio for 4 days sounds like, you've spent 4 days in Rio, right? But like I've spent 7 months in Brazil, and I still feel like I barely scratched the surface of Brazil, right? And like if you spend 4 days in a country, just like think about the math of spending 4 days in a country, right? So you land in Rio de Janeiro at like 2 p.m., right? That's day one. You leave the airport at 4:30, right? You get to your hotel at 5. So you're gonna go out, you're gonna get dinner, you might go to a bar, you're gonna go to the beach and go home, right? Day two, you're going to Christ the Redeemer, you're going to Sugarloaf Mountain, right? Day three, you might spend your day on Copacabana Beach or see some other stuff. Day four, you're waking up at 10, checking out of your Airbnb because you have to check out of your Airbnb by 11, and then you're going to the airport, right? So 2 of those 4 days you didn't do shit, right? And then the other 2 days you just only saw the like big famous things, right? So like you really have not seen the city. You really not have seen the city of Rio de Janeiro at all if you spend 4 days there. And there are people who you know, who will say they've been to Brazil after spending 4 days in Rio. No. So for me, I think my country number is somewhere around like 50, around somewhere around 50 if I were to like count. But for me the much more important number is like how many countries have I been to, how many countries have I spent more than a month in, right? And that is America, Canada, Poland, Spain, Croatia, Albania, Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Paraguay, Peru, Colombia, right? Like those are the more interesting questions because like once you spend a month in a country, you actually like start to really get the country a lot more, right? So I would focus way less on like going to a lot of countries, and I would say focus on going to one country and just like understanding that country. You know what I mean? um I've only been to like 15 countries, but quality over quantity, 100%, dude. Um, Buenos Aires is one of the worst cities in the world. Don't go to Buenos Aires. Carnival. I mean, don't go to Carnival, but you already bought the tickets, I'm guessing. So like fine. But Carnival is one of the biggest scams in the world, in my opinion. You should not go to, I think you've not traveled before. You should start in Asia because Latam is for experience. Yeah, sure. That's fine. What about Ibiza? I've never been to Ibiza. I live in Buenos Aires, and the girls are not easy and also not very hot. He is right. How much Spanish can you speak? I mean, my wife does not speak English, so I literally only speak Spanish on my day-to-day life. Best city in Argentina is Cordoba. The problem with Buenos Aires is, first of all, Buenos Aires now is incredibly expensive, almost New York prices at this point. And then B, the women are incredibly feminist and leftist. So up until now, I've said that every single person I've ever spoken to about Buenos Aires has had a bad time. And I actually just today spoke with the first person who had a good experience in Buenos Aires. So I have to take it back. Not everybody has had a bad experience because I literally talked today to the first person who had a good experience. By the way, people who are on like YouTube, I don't want to be like busking this time, but if someone wants to do like a super chat or someone wants to give like a gift, very much appreciated. I think I'm gonna be just doing if I can get like most of the money from these, I'm probably just gonna be like focusing on YouTube. Um, YouTube is lagging. Yeah, I need to like I'm gonna consolidate my live soon. So um more people are on TikTok. So literally the only reason why I still do TikTok is because I get way more volume of questions and comments on TikTok. So like if I just did YouTube, I wouldn't have enough volume to like actually have a conversation and shit. So like that's literally the reason why I do TikTok. But long term, I'm going to be switching everything to YouTube and to Facebook. I might just stop doing Facebook because right now Facebook is not getting um you know, enough. Someone asked me like pros and cons of going solo traveler versus going in a group. I think like you should really try to spend as much time solo traveling as possible because when you're in a group, you just kind of end up sticking in your bubble. And I've done both, but like you really just kind of end up just being with your friends and just kind of like doing your shit with your friends versus like if you're going alone, you like you like leave the house, you like go to a restaurant, you like talk to the people next to you, you like feel more of an urge to like really integrate into the local culture, and you'll get a much more fruitful experience from that. Yo, what's up? Can I speak other languages? Yeah, I speak English, I speak Spanish, and I speak Polish. Someone says that girls in Buenos Aires have less sexual arousal. I can see that. I mean, the problem. Thanks, Big Messy. I appreciate it. Like the problem with I mean Buenos Aires is very like feminist. Um would it be good to have a tour guide as a first time traveler, not a tour group. Yeah, I mean like what you should do is just like go to whatever country you want to go to and just like sign up for local tours on like either Airbnb or TripAdvisor. So Poland didn't work for you. No, I mean, I could have found a Polish woman. I'm Polish. I speak Polish. I have a Polish passport, but I just don't like Polish people. I just don't like the culture of Poland. I don't like Polish women at all. So, would you say I'm political? So I said this a little bit earlier today. Like I am, if you follow me on Twitter, I pretty much only talk about politics on Twitter, but like on like my you know my like passport bro content, I try not to talk about politics because like I like I don't want to get too like high on the smell of my own farts here, but like I really think that I really believe in my mission here, which is to help men that are not happy in the West move abroad, get married, and have kids, right? And like if you sleep around a lot before then, like that's just part of the process, but like that's my end goal, right? And so like a lot of those men are conservatives, but a lot of those men are liberals too. and I don't want people to be turned off by like a political message that I'm doing. You know what I mean? I don't want people to be like, "Oh, you support this guy, you support that guy." So now I'm not going to listen to your content, and then the end result of that is I'm not going to move abroad, right? So any political content that I do on my channel is specifically like, this is why you should leave America, right? And like it's not strictly left versus right stuff. It's, I mean, a lot of it's anti-feminist, so like sure it is right-wing coded, but I'm not trying to do like day-to-day politics stuff because I just don't want to turn people off. Love your content, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Um, yeah, me and my wife are probably never, ever, 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 ever going to the United States. Like that's very much off the table. Someone asked me, "What's the city?" Istanbul? I've never heard of it. Are you asking about Constantinople? I refuse to go to Constantinople until it's returned to the rightful owners of it, which is the Greeks. But I've never heard of Istanbul. That's not a place. The name of the place is Constantinople. It's not whatever you're calling it. Anyway, why don't I like Polish women? Poland is like a very cold, like Polish people are very cold. They're not like really like they're not warm. They're not loving. They're constantly like doing like 18-dimensional chess, with each other. There's constant like so like the way I explained it, and like I actually told this to my mom the other day, and she begrudgingly laughed. Is that like the difference between a Latina and a Polish woman is that like if you piss off the Latina, she's gonna like blow up at you and she's gonna scream at you, but like once she's done screaming at you, she's forgotten about it. Like we move on. A Polish woman, if you piss her off, she's not going to get angry at you, but she's gonna start, you know, she's going to start like a multi-year process to get vengeance upon you, right? And I just don't like that. You know what I mean? Um, Someone said thoughts on interracial couples. Um, I'll say this, man, about like interracial couples. You know, I'm so when it comes to interracial couples, I'm actually kind of in a weird liminal space where I kind of like piss both groups off. We're like, there's a whole group of people on the right that are like against interracial couples, and like I'm not against interracial couples at all. I think that like if you fall in love with someone from another race, you should be happy and like find the person you love, and you really shouldn't care about what race somebody is. You should just like follow what your heart desires. That being said, I do think there does seem to be like a conscious thing where like society is pushing interracial relationships on people, and I'm also against that. You know what I mean? So like I think you can have like a nuanced opinion on interracial couples and say like you shouldn't, you should be open and loving and all this other type of stuff. At the same time, acknowledging that there seems to be a huge push in the media to push this thing and kind of ask like, why is this, right? But anyway, that's just kind of my feeling about it. Um, aren't Polish people and Russian people connected by bloodline? There was a part in history where Russia and Poland were connected called Prussia. Okay. So first of all, Prussia was not the connection of Poland and Russia. Prussia was Germany. It was the Kingdom of Prussia, and then there was German unification in the 1800s. So I'm guessing you don't really know the basics of the history they were talking about. But then on top of that, like no, Polish people and Russian people do not like each other. It's a long, 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 long history of wars and stuff. So, um, love isn't real. I mean, like, no, dude, you shouldn't, you shouldn't believe that. And anybody who's selling you a black pill that like love isn't real, like you need to not buy that black pill, and you need to like go find the woman that you love. I'm in love. Me and my wife have a great relationship, a great marriage. It's made every single day of my life substantially better. I've talked about this on the last live. I don't want to talk about it every live, but my wife has like a heart condition where like she can very easily die, and so I think about her death a lot because it's a very likely occurrence. And like we're talking about the other day, and she was asking me, she's like, so like, will you like remarry if I die? And for me, I wasn't even like lying to her. I was just like, you know, I would never remarry because for me, like the relationship that we have is so important that if I were to find somebody else afterwards, it would kind of trivialize this really important thing that we have. So no, love exists, and love is kind of the most important thing in the world. So you should go find it. Um, what does your wife look like? My wife, so it's funny because like yeah, Chile's not a shithole. Chile's like the nicest country in Latin America. But so this is a funny story about my wife is that like me and her met and we were like literally the exact thing that each other were looking for, and we like just like started like, you know, dating right away. Um so no children. We've been trying to have children for a year, but we've been having like issues with that. Um Anyway, so, I actually had a date with, like, a legitimate, like, professional model the day after my wife, and I canceled it. Like, this girl was, like, 5'6", black hair, blue eyes, like, literally, like, working as a model. And my wife she's 5'1", tan skin, doesn't, you know, is, like, slim build. And it was like, yeah, this girl is like a professional model, but my wife is literally the exact body type that I want. She's like the perfect height for me, the perfect everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm just into short brown girls. That's just like what I'm into. Um, how did you learn Spanish? Literally just Duolingo and sleeping with Latinas. What made you realize that she's the one? Dude, like, the thing about, like, realizing that she's the one is that, like, you literally like, there's no, like, thing that they do. It's just, like, you should know within the moment that you meet them. You know what I mean? That, like, they're the one. And if you don't know that first day, then, like, they're not the one. That's my opinion. Do Polish only date within their own? There's some in the UK. What I've heard is that Polish people actually date a lot outside of their own. Swiss women are horrible. Swiss women are terrible. I actually I made this video a long time ago. I'm afraid of making it again because my account's too big. I might get like banned for making it. Um, is that like Swiss women I think are like the worst women to date in the world, I would say. Because like Swiss women have like here's the thing. French women theoretically are are like the worst women to date. But the thing about French women is at least they bring it in the bedroom, and at least they know how to cook. So you're like you have all this negative stuff with them, but it's like at least you're kind of hitting the main two points. Like I personally think French women. I had a whole video about this. Like French women are the Cadillacs of women. Where like they were really big in like the 60s and 70s, but then like once Toyotas and Mercedes came in, like they were just kind of swamped, right? And once Latinas and Asians came in, people realized they really didn't really like that French women that much. But all that to say, like French women at least have their benefits. Swiss women are French women that can't cook and can't do anything in the bedroom either. So it's like, what's the point to just get lectured on microaggressions? Am I a passport bro? No, dude, I'm not. Your content is very insightful. Norway. Okay, so are you just like throwing out countries, bro? Paul, you should just stand up. Eh, I'm never in a country that speaks English. You know what I mean? So this live is gonna be my stand up. Why don't you think you're a passport bro? I am a passport bro. I was just like Like, obviously, I'm a passport bro. So, you know, so I was being sarcastic, man. Um, oh, yo, we got somebody else who bought the course. Does one more person want to buy the course? Does one more person want to buy the course before we're done? I honestly don't even need another person to buy the course. I'm happy. I'm happy with what we accomplished today. Like I'm not. I'm chalking this up as a win. I'm happy with. I'm happy with the production we did today, guys. This was a good live. I'm married to a Venezuelan girl. Is being a passport bro in 2026, 2027, and going to countries like Colombia or Brazil to make sense? No, you should not go to Colombia or Brazil. Both of those countries are 100% washed. Do not go to either of those countries. Bali's the spot to be right now. I honestly like I really like Bali. Um Someone asked, do I consider my wife a different race than me? To be honest, like I just don't really think about it. Like, I mean, I I honestly don't have the answer to that question. So like, I just don't think about it. Like, she could very easily have a bunch of indigenous blood in her, or she could just be like 100% ethnically Italian. You know what I mean? Like, I really have no idea. So, yo, so somebody just gifted $10. Thanks for the super chat. Yo, we've got this super chat thing is really going off, man. I appreciate it. So somebody says I've been talking to a lot of women in Buenos Aires, but honestly, the women in Buenos Aires are not my types looks wise. I like lighter features such as blondes. What cities would you recommend? I would recommend Curitiba, Brazil. Curitiba, Brazil is the place that you should go if you like blonde women. Um, that's you know Clearly your wife is a different race. Why is my wife clearly a different race though? Like you go to Italy and you see girls who have the exact same body structure as my wife. How do you know that she's a different race? Anyway, so yeah, Curitiba is the place you want to go. Basically, like one of the big issues with going after purely blonde girls in Argentina, although you can find them in places like Cordoba and Rosario, is that like um the big difference is that oh shit. Um so I'll get to your question in a second, dude. So um Argentina and Brazil both have this policy called the blanqueamiento, where they basically paid a bunch of European people to immigrate to their countries, right? And so the way that it happened with Argentina is that everybody went into Buenos Aires and then went into the country from there, right? And so because of that, like everyone, like you have Italians, Germans, Polish people, all kind of mixed, right? But like in Brazil, all of the Central and Eastern Europeans went to Curitiba, and all of the Portuguese and Italians went to Porto Alegre. So Brazil is more like stratified in that manner. So if you're looking for like mainly white girls, go to Curitiba. Um, is if she is a white Venezuelan, you already said that she's brown. Well, I said she has tan skin, right? And like you go to Italy and you have a bunch of people with tan skin, right? You go to Spain and you have a bunch of people with tan skin. So like I don't like her skin is like the color of like Ronaldo's skin. So like no, I don't know if she is white or if she is not. And again, I don't really think about it. Why are you guys so racist? Says I really have no idea. Anyway, I'm not and unless you give me a super chat, I'm not responding to any more race questions. Anyway, what country did you finally settle down on and why? So I feel bad because like I don't like I don't have the answer that you're looking for. Me and my wife have not settled down. We're literally just traveling around the world, which is funny because like when you meet Latinas in Latin America, they will tell you need to settle down here. You need to know that like that is just a negotiating position. So like if you go to a country and you go to a city and you have no intention of like settling down there, then just tell them yes. Like that's what I did with my wife. She was just like, we're living in Paraguay. My whole family's in Paraguay. We're settling down in Paraguay. If you want to date me, you're living in Paraguay. And I was just like, okay, sure, fine. And then 4 months later, we like were planning our trip, right? And 6 months later, we left, right? So if you get a Latina that's like intransigent, first of all, you should realize that everything a girl says to you, you can change her mind on if she loves you. There's a really great Victor Hugo quote that I like where he says, if a girl loves you, she will pardon your worst vices. And if a girl hates you, or like if the girl loves you, she'll accept your worst vices, and if a girl doesn't love you, she won't pardon your greatest virtues, right? So like get her to fall in love with you first, and then you can go wherever you want, right? So to answer your question, me and my wife just literally just traveled the world. We're in Kosovo right now. We just spent 2 months in Albania. We were in Poland for 3 months at my grandma's place. We're going to Greece in a month, and then we're going to go to Spain, and then we're going to go to Napoli, Paris, and then we're either going to go back to Latin America and just spend some time there, or we're going to go to Asia. By the way, I've had the same number of watchers on Facebook for, you know, the past like hour. It's which I think is kind of impressive. I think everyone's just been kind of watching. So thanks guys for just kind of sticking with it. Someone says he's buying the course, dude. I appreciate that, man. Do you do one-on-one calls? I do one-on-one calls, and if you're interested in a one-on-one call, go to the link in my description and fill out the form, and you and I will, sit down and we'll find some time to talk. You're going to all the best places. Yeah, man. I honestly, man, like I hate to kind of flex, but like my life is fucking dope. I really love my life. Like there's sometimes like being like a new content creator is a little bit stressful in terms of like money and stuff. Like it is kind of hard to make money off of content, especially at the beginning. But besides just those trivial matters, my life is fucking awesome and I really fucking love it. And I really want more people to be able to live the life that I have. But anyway, if anybody is interested in having a one-on-one conversation, go to the link in my bio. This is the same wherever you're watching me, and go click. There's like a Google form to talk to me. Fill that out, and I'll shoot you a text tomorrow morning. What age did your life start to get good? Honestly, like when I started traveling around the world, like I've always been like unhappy. Even when I was making money and like I used to, it's funny because people think I've never like gone to the gym or something. I used to make a lot of money in San Francisco. I used to go to the gym 2 hours a day. I used to be like in really good shape, making lots of money. I was miserable as hell, man. And like I started traveling, I was a broke fat ass, but I was having the time of my life. And then when I met my wife, it just went to another level. Um, okay. To be honest, American women are so awful. I'll take North Korea at this point. Okay. Does her family live in Venezuela? Do you visit her country? I do not visit Venezuela. Half her family lives in Venezuela, and half of them live in Paraguay. At what age though? I'm 22. My life started to get really good when I was 32, man. That's when I started traveling. So, it took a while. It's funny because like when I decided to do my trip around the world, I told my mom and she was like, finally. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you've been talking about doing a trip around the world since you were literally 12. Why did it take so long? And I was like, the problem is, and people who are like around my age or older will understand this. Like when I graduated college, the idea of leaving everything and just traveling around the world was just like was the thing crazy people did, right? And it was like, okay, go get a good job, work a little bit. Then when you're 29, you can do something and start your own shit and do whatever, right? And so like nowadays you have kids leaving college and they're like, starting their own agencies. They're making tens of thousands of dollars a month, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And I'm so happy that they have this freedom to do that, that like I never had really. I mean, I guess I did have it, but like it was so different back when I like was leaving college. So if you're 22, if you're in college right now, my biggest suggestion, or like if you're in high school, is create an agency, like find like learn a skill, make it as specialized as possible, start selling that skill to people, and then start traveling around the world. Did you meet Austin when he was in Paraguay? I don't know who Austin is. Um, Tips for making money content creation. It's very hard. Let's just say that. Like you should not, like, your plan A should not be content creation. Content creation should be your plan B. And I content creation was my plan B even when I had 10,000 followers on TikTok. Let me tell you, getting to 10,000 followers is very hard, and it was still plan B, right? So like you need to focus on easier ways to make money before starting to travel abroad. The most fun country I've been in just for holidays, forget the girls. I think Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is one of my favorite cities. So I have four cities that I think everybody should visit at least once. New York City, Paris, France, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and Tokyo. Is Montenegro good to base up in? I heard it's dangerous. I don't think there are any gangs in Montenegro, bro. I would be shocked. Montenegro is completely fine. Me and my wife, I mean, we spent a week there, but it was completely fine. Montenegro is incredibly beautiful. The problem with Montenegro is that it's also kind of expensive. So, um, anyway, yo, Paul, I've been going through the course. Is amazing, bro. Thanks, dude. This is a resounding endorsement of the course. How about this? So this live was supposed to be 2 hours, and we're right at 2 hours. If one more person buys the course in the next 10 minutes, I'll extend the live another half an hour. So I'm not trying to get, like, if you don't want to buy the course, don't buy the course. Like, having me talk for half an hour is not worth it. But if you are somebody who's like on the fence of getting the course, and you're like, oh, I might get the course tomorrow, then get the course now, and we'll all be with each other for half an hour more. So, and are you good at geoguessing? A little bit. There was one of these like accounts where the guy's like, I can tell wherever you are by your photo. And when I saw the photo, I guessed the place correctly before he ever went into any of his stuff. But it was also like I was literally on the beach that he was talking about like a week before. So, you know. Um tell us why we need tell us why we need your course. Um I haven't taken public speech classes. Um but I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, Tell us why we need the course. So basically, what the course so it's like my best pitch for the course is honestly this, is that like I have so many people who sign up for one-on-one consultations, and we'll sit down and we'll talk for an hour, and I'm like, all of the information that I gave you in this hour is on the course. Right? The course it's 11 hours of pretty much everything I know about traveling in Latin America and dating in Latin America. There's 5 hours that just goes into every country in Latin America, the differences, the similarities, what places to go to, what places to avoid. If you like these types of women, go here. If you like these types of women, go here. If you like these types of women, go here, right? So like all of these questions that you're asking are all answered in the course, right? In that section. And then there's another section that goes into like how dating in Latin America is different than it is in the United States, right? Like, so one problem that a lot of people have when dating in Latin America is they get flaked on a lot, right? I show you how to stop that. I show you how to convert more women. I show you how to figure out which woman you actually want to date and you actually want to be with for a long time. So if you're really serious about dating in Latin America and like moving abroad to Latin America to be a passport bro, like the course will save you thousands of dollars. And it's a $200 course, but again, like I literally have people. I had a consultation 2 days ago where I literally at the end of the consultation, I thought to myself, I literally gave him just a 1 hour version of this, 11-hour course, and he paid more to get less information. So literally, if you guys are interested in talking to me, if you guys are interested in just learning about Latin America, if you're becoming a passport pro, that's the spiel. It's 11 hours of just me talking about everything about Latin America. So again, you know, if someone buys it in the next 5 minutes, I will 100% go for another half an hour. It's 2 a.m. here, so like I do kind of want to go to sleep soon, but I'll 100% go for another half an hour. If someone doesn't, then I might go for 5 minutes. I might go for 10 minutes. Who knows? But by the way, for people who are enjoying this live, this week I'm doing a live every day from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then I'm going to look at my finances, how much I've earned from these lives at the end of the week. And if, it's good money, if this is a good strategy for me, if this is not a waste of my time, I'll keep on doing this every day from 6 to 8 p.m. So if you're enjoying this, come back tomorrow. Really excited for you guys to come back. So anyway, let's answer some questions. What's the most forgettable place that I've been to? Honestly, I haven't really been to that many forgettable places. What country am I in? I'm in what's it called? I'm in Kosovo right now. I don't know who the Pookies are. Um anyway. Yeah, I mean, so the reason why I priced it at 200 is because if you are somebody who's actually serious about like traveling, you know that getting the right information is worth $200. And if you're not someone who's serious about traveling, then like I'm not gonna, water it down for you. So the course is specifically about Latin America. I'm gonna be making another one about Asia. Best places to go to find Venezuelan women for a black man. Well, best places in general to find Venezuelan women are Lima, Peru, Asuncion, and Cordoba, Argentina. Those are like the four places with. Those are the three places with the most Venezuelan women. How does she feel afford all that as an influencer? How do I afford all that as an influencer, bro? I have 200,000 followers, bro. I'm not just an influencer. Have I met any Black American YouTubers? I don't. Um, so like I don't really communicate with a lot of YouTubers. I don't really care about like the culture of the influencers and shit. I just do my own thing. So I haven't met any black YouTubers. I haven't met any white YouTubers. I literally just do my own shit. So, Anyway, the mistakes cost more than $200. They do. How does a Colombian woman live in Dubai and travel to Europe for vacay? How does a Colombian woman live in Dubai and travel to Europe for vacay? Does somebody want to answer that question? Because I know what the answer is. I can give the answer, but before I give the answer, let's see if anyone else knows the answer to this question. Does anyone else know? No? Okay, the answer is she's not paying for it. She's fucking an old dude with probably a wrinkly little Johnson, and that dude's paying for it. Selling box, 100%. That's how she's paying for it. Um, the answer was good. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Like I'm not trying to freeze anybody out of anything. I'm just doing my own shit. You know what I mean? Like so some people come to me and want to shout out. I'm like, I'm not shouting on anybody. But anyway. Um I want to go to the Philippines. I don't like the Philippines, man. But I don't feel like talking about the Philippines right now. This is why I have a 2 hour limit because I eventually get to a point where I just don't feel like giving the same spiel again. But you know, If I give you her Instagram, can you verify that's what she's doing? Bro, I already verified that that's what she's doing. Like, I know that that's what she's doing. Do I still do hour-long consultations? I do, man. I do hour-long consultations. I also do, like, 2-hour consultations now over the course of, like, 3 meetings. So, am I gonna be live tomorrow? I am gonna be live tomorrow. Thanks for asking that, bro. So everyone knows again, I'm gonna be live every day this week, 6 to 8 p.m. And if you want to come on, I'm gonna be here. And then at the end of the week, I'm gonna assess if this is a good like ROI for my time. Anyway, any last questions? I'm gonna go to sleep soon. Oh, tomorrow I'm actually gonna be doing an extra half an hour because I have a consultation at 2:30 a.m. One of the best ways to determine if a girl is selling is if her IG is baller. Yeah, 100%. Here's the thing, right? Like, so for example, right? Like my wife has a baller Instagram, right? But that's because she's married and she's not paying for it. Like I'm paying for her Instagram. You know what I mean? And also literally just her family follows her. She doesn't like post anything for anybody. Her Instagram now is super private. But like, the point is like she posts us together, right? Because I'm paying for it, right? Like 99 out of 100 times there's a dude paying for it. This is what it is. I actually had to explain this to her. She didn't. One thing I love about my wife is she's so naive about shit. It's like really adorable how naive she is about shit. And I'm like, she's like, how is this girl paying for these vacations? Exactly what you asked. I'm like, she's not. Anyway, okay, so this is the last question I'm going to answer. Again, thanks everyone for joining, but I'm going to answer one last question. Is working remotely for another company worth it, or is making ones from your own company better? Um, I would say this, like there's pros and cons to both of them, right? The problem with working remotely for a company, right, is that they can decide one day that they don't want you to work remotely anymore, right? Like any day you can't, they can just make that decision. And so then you have to make a decision. Am I going to go home or am I going to keep traveling? And then also you can get fired at any point, right? And the problem with that is like being fired, if you're living in Michigan, being fired in Michigan is not the worst thing in the world because it's like, you have friends, you have family, people can help you, whatever, right? If you're calling up your friends and family and like you're in Cambodia, like that's a completely different situation, right? So that's the pros, but like the pro of like having a job is that like when you're starting your own agency, like the money goes up and down a lot, especially at the beginning, right? And so that adds a whole bunch of stress to your trip. If you have a salaried position, right, you can be like, okay, I'm gonna be bringing in $6,000 after taxes next month, and I can plan around that. If you have your own agency, you have no idea how much money you're bringing in next month because even if you have clients who are going to be paying you 6K or 6K after taxes or whatever, right? They can all fire you one day. And if you've never run an agency, you don't know how like that's possible. So Wesna actually said something smart, which is like doing in parallel is a good idea, right? Is that like work on both at the same time. So what I did was I had my own agency. And then once I started my account, I actually got a 9 to 5 job. Because like the problem with an agency is that you have to like dedicate all of your time to it, right? And so what I did was I was basically like, okay, I'm gonna get this 9 to 5 job. I actually spent a lot of time making content during that job, but like, I can do that and then I can do my content afterwards, right? And that made it a lot easier to be able to do content. So I had like 6 months where I was doing both jobs. Yeah, I was really overworked, but like I had that security at the same time I was able to dedicate time to content. If you're ripped. All right, awesome. I do not recommend visiting Colombia. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk to you later. Thanks, guys.